Yo, this is Nick D.
I'm
What up, Nick
Brie
D?
and this is Kasari.
You already know what it is, man. It's William Cater.
Yo, this is DJ Lost and Found from the Missing Link podcast.
Hey, what up? It's Miss Hero from Pew Army.
This is Stephen the Levite.
Yo, what's good, y'all? It's your boy YP, aka Young Paul. You know what I mean? Representing the East Coast, New York, Jersey, stand up.
And you're tuned into the That's Not
Christian Podcast.
Woo! Oh, we got a little applause going.
Whoa, what is this?
Welcome back. Welcome back to this week's episode of Okay, I think that's enough. Okay. Thank you guys. Thank you.
For 5 minutes.
Thank you. You're far too kind. You're far too kind.
Right, you're far too kind. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We are on episode 232 of
Dang.
I know you guys have been going for a minute of That's Not Christian, and I am here. Well, first of all, I am Brie K, and I am here with my wonderful twin Kasiri, and also present are Jimmy, aka Jay is LA, and Jay Acosta. Yay!
No round of applause for that.
Yo, we got a bunch of all this stuff. Let's go.
Hey, we
We're
talking
moving
about-
on up, moving on up to
Let's
the
go.
west side.
Right.
Yeah, to the west side. To the west side. First of all, let me just say this too, because I know I always have
Say,
something to say.
not
This is why
beef.
you guys shouldn't let me introduce this pod.
Start
But
with me.
how come the branding and stuff is like all like New York type stuff? Okay, there's 3 of us from the
Ooh.
West Coast that are now on the pod.
Ooh.
I kind of feel like we need a
Gang,
rebrand
gang.
because that concrete jungle stuff is not gonna cut it.
We need some more palm trees.
Some palm trees. We need
Huh.
some ocean. We need some just
Coasted.
something better.
We need
you
somebody
know what I
crip
mean?
walking.
Well,
That
in, our,
too.
in the
That too.
defense, right? I told Jimmy before the show, use the other intro we used to have that had palm trees.
But did you
and all that
provide
stuff.
him with that intro?
It's there. It's in the
I-
brand.
I swear to you, it's not
section.
there.
Yo, you gonna really
All
make
right.
me play it right now?
I'm gonna take a
Right?
screenshot. I'm
Ooh,
gonna show you.
oh,
I'm gonna show
Not
you.
the fight.
The bosses are fighting.
See what you started.
But anyway, we can go ahead and get into this pod. But the first thing, I know we like to do a little small talk. We had an earthquake today.
Yeah, we did.
Did y'all feel it?
It was business as
Well,
usual.
I don't live in LA, so no.
I
Well,
did.
excuse
I
me,
got
whatever.
I got the roofers doing some work, and
You
so
look
I
okay.
hanging- when they were hanging off.
thought
It's
I
not to
thought
the
it
window.
was just I thought it was just them, like, you know, because it's like 20 Mexicans on the roof right now. You know,
Wow, why they gotta be
My
Mexicans?
people.
Real talk. They get the job done.
Real talk.
Venezuelans. There, you know, there's actually a company called the MexicanRoofer.com or something like that. I see it on the
Really?
freeway. Yeah, I think it's brilliant branding. But anyway, dudes was on the roof, so I just thought they was like moving around or whatever. I was like, is that an earthquake? I was like, nah, it's not an earthquake. It's just, you know,
Dudes on the roof, shaking the roof, shaking the
yeah,
building.
just, you know, jumping around, doing work, getting work done. I didn't realize it was earthquake. How big was it?
I think it was a 4.2. I took a screenshot of it. Let me see.
That's not.
And it was like 9 kilometers southwest of Corona, and 4.3.
Oh,
9
wow.
kilometers southwest of Corona, California. I live in Yorba Linda, which is like the next city over. So we did feel it, but I mean, I don't know.
It's like a regular day in Cali, right?
It really was. I almost forgot about it until I
Right.
saw my screenshot when I came here. But
Yeah.
anyway,
So I was like, that's not worth entertaining.
it
Right.
wasn't. I remember back in the day though, like when Facebook's feed used to be like actually chronological, everybody would just type earthquake for fun.
Yeah.
Like every time there was an earthquake, everybody would just be like earthquake because we would all see it, you know, one after another. But Facebook's not like that anymore, so
Yeah.
lame.
Wow,
But
throwback.
anyway, no, for real. But anyway, what do y'all want to get into first?
I mean,
do
since
y'all
you
feel like?
since you talking about lame, why not Amanda?
Wow,
Dang.
double homicide.
That's what he's supposed to do. The
Real
drops.
talk.
The drops.
Or unless you have like a gun, yeah, shots
Oh,
fired.
I got this one. No?
Don't play that one ever again.
That one? All right.
They're dirty.
Just kidding.
They're dirty.
All right, we want to do that one again. That's fine. It's
I feel
okay.
like you should have played that as you were saying that she was lame.
Yeah.
Oh, right, right. I
Um,
agree. I agree 100%. Timing is everything.
Okay, so
So
go ahead, Twin. Tell us
Oh,
about
shoot.
what
yeah,
happened with
oh
Amanda.
shoot.
Just a quick,
Oh
just a quick
shoot.
1-2.
Oh shoot. Okay. So basically Amanda Seals
Silly.
came on Shannon Sharp
mhm,
show and he was interviewing her and um it was like a 3 hour
that
or
was
3.5
crazy.
hour podcast. I did watch the whole thing or listen to the whole thing.
Crazy.
In one-time speed.
No, actually I keep forgetting about that. I literally always forget
So
about
you
that.
listen to it in one, like just regular speed.
Regular
So one
speed.
time, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was at work though, so it was like
You're committed to
anyway.
this pod. I love that.
Right. But she introduced her introduction was basically like, I have been recently diagnosed with autism, and that's why I act this way, or that's why I think this way. And it was just very like that was the preface of her like interview, I guess. And you know, it starts getting kind of he gives a little pushback as the interview is going.
Yeah.
And she starts getting defensive like right away. And I think that's the problem that most people had with it. Like, there's no issue with having like dialogue, right? But
Mhm.
when you start getting defensive and you're starting to like kind of like get mad and argue because he's questioning you, when that's the point of an interview,
Right.
he asks you questions about the things that you're saying, and
But she
you
doesn't like that
answer it.
though, because she was like that in the Breakfast Club.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah, when they asked her if she was still on that show,
Oh, the real?
no, the other one,
Oh.
with
Oh, Issa Rae, Insecure?
yeah, Insecure.
Uh-huh.
She kind of got like mad about that. So it just seems like she doesn't like pushback. Like she just likes people like to follow along with her. At least that's what I gathered from the interview. I didn't watch it in its entirety. I'm glad you did. I just got a couple of clips because I'm not about to commit 3 hours to that woman. Facts though.
Wanted to see the whole thing. I feel like the second half was actually really good.
Mhm.
She's obviously educated. She speaks very well. She has a great vocabulary, and
That's why
like
people hate her, right? That's what she said. That's why people hate her.
I mean, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I can see why people don't like her.
You can see that.
Yes, she's like condescending, right?
I feel
Because
like she's a
she's
narcissist.
intelligent. She's like and then at one point she does tell him like, you know, basically like she's basically telling him, stop questioning me because I'm educated and I'm coming from a person that is, you know, I have my master's in this and I have, you know, I went to school for this and that. So why don't you consider my point of view? And he was like, and that's fine, but why don't you consider mine as I'm considering yours? And she's just like, no, because I'm, you know, it was just like, girl, what is going on?
I don't know.
Come on, son. She's got a master's degree in African studies. Like respectfully, like, come on.
Well, the thing is, the clip that you sent, Shannon asked her when was she diagnosed, right? And she says that she was recently diagnosed. And then either that same night, I think it was that same night or the next day or something like that, she went on live and said that she actually has not been clinically diagnosed.
Yeah.
That it cost $10,000 and she doesn't want to pay $10,000 for a diagnosis.
Right.
And so people were kind of like, why did you then say on the show that you had been diagnosed when you actually haven't been diagnosed?
Yeah.
Right.
I think that there has been like, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I've kind of noticed it like on TikTok and on Instagram. There's kind of been like an uptick of just like people creating content surrounding the fact that they have autism. And I'm no doctor. I don't know the DSM. I'm nobody to diagnose anybody, but it don't look like half these cats have autism. Like I think that they I think that they want attention. Right. Or they want to feel special or feel like they belong to something. And I'm not necessarily saying this is Amanda. I don't know her.
It is her. I totally feel like it's her. Yeah, because it's always something with her, like somebody hates her. You know what I mean? She's gone through races and she's like such a victim. Everything is like a victim. Nobody likes her because she's too pretty, she's too smart, you know, because she talks so well. It's like, come on, bro. You're a freaking narcissist.
Dang.
That's literally what I was thinking as I was watching the interview. It was like literally like, I don't know. It was like, understand me and consider me, but I don't have to consider anybody else because
Right.
they don't know what I know. And it's like, that's fine and everything, but that's not how a dialogue happens. That's not how conversation happens. Like, you're coming into this like a debate, and that's not what this is. And then you were, to me, it just felt like, okay, and then you were fine. And then during the interview, she like asks him for a hug, right? They hug or whatever. And then on her live afterwards, or even the rest of the week, she's like saying, I didn't feel the love in the room and blah, blah, blah. And it just feels like everybody wants that Cat Williams moment. And I've seen that people comment on the videos and her lives and stuff like that, or on social media a lot. But I totally felt that when I was watching it. Like, everybody wants to tell their truth and stuff like that. And I feel like Shannon is like very like, but what if your truth is not the truth? Right. And I think that people get offended by that. But I think, you do have to consider other people's perspective as well when you're telling your story. Like, he's not going to fully believe everything that you're saying just because you said it. And again, she was like, well, you're saying that, but that's my experience. You're taking away from my experience. And he's like, no, I'm not. Like, it was just really crazy.
Yeah.
So in the comments, it's funny because Kyle said condescending like Candace. I'm guessing he's talking about Candace Owens, because I literally told my twin I feel like Amanda Seales and Candace Owens could be besties.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yes.
Elaborate.
I feel like they would talk mad together.
I think it'd be an interesting conversation because Amanda thinks everything is racism and she's a victim. And for the most part, Candace is like y'all using the race card too much. You know what I'm saying? Like
100%. They definitely have conflicting ideologies, for sure. But their personality to me is somewhat similar. And that's why I think if they were to align on like a particular subject, say they just talked about, I don't know, some random subject, I really feel like they could be besties. But anyway,
I don't know. I disagree. I think Amanda's too emotional. You know what I'm saying? I think that Candace, but she backs it up with like numbers.
True. No, true.
She backs it up with so like she definitely is. She can be. She can come across like that, but she has numbers, data, research reports and stuff like that. Now you can disagree with her resources, but Amanda with her masters, I've never heard her do that.
I don't watch her enough
to
have seen her do that, but just from what I've seen from her personality, she does remind me of Candace.
Yeah.
And even like the condescending, I mean, I feel like Candace has gotten better, but when she interviewed Blair, when she kept calling him sir, and like, I understand we don't agree on what you are or whatever, but she could have just said Blair, not sir, like to offend him or her.
But she went back and forth on it too. She said her and then went back to him then they went back to her. Like, she did that
because Blair's confusing people. You know what I mean? Like, just like
Blair's
confused, and so Blair's confusing everybody too. Like,
and that's like Candace was upset. But I do feel like as far as her personality goes, she can be condescending too.
Yeah.
And then like with Amanda, I've seen her be emotional a couple times, and then I've seen her. I feel like that's like part of her shtick, or something. Like, she wants to be that, like, I don't know, like, person that just comes in guns blazing and mad already. But
she was already mad. Like, or emotional, very like getting offended over everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she was not considering what he was like asking her. Like, at one point she was telling him that she used to correct her teacher all the time. So then the teacher called the meeting, and she was basically like, the teacher's concern was, your daughter keeps correcting me in front of the class. And Shannon brought up, well, I come from the generation of the adults saying the child needs to know you need to know your place, basically.
Right.
And so she was just like, no, she didn't want to basically admit like the actual history of whatever it is that she was talking about when it came to like African history type thing.
Right.
Or I don't want to, something like that. But I'm just like, girl, you're not even like considering anything else. But it was always like, they're a racist. They were that to me. They were,
Yeah, she was saying like that people in her dorm. There was like 7 girls who didn't like her. And, like, I thought that was like they
She
just
didn't know
met you
why.
and they don't like you. Like you just met somebody and they don't like you. Like all 7 of them, like random people from
Right.
different parts of the world, different states, different high schools. Like they come to this college and they meet you for the first time. And they don't like you. Like, but it's them. Like I'm never gonna look in the mirror and be like, maybe
Right.
I know we
maybe.
don't know, but do y'all think that she has autism?
Yeah, because I do, and I'm sticking to it. I'm riding with her. I'm riding with her on her
And you
self-diagnosis.
diagnosed? Did you get a diagnosis? You
No,
diagnosed
no,
yourself?
we don't need to anymore. You
On
go on
Google.
you go on
On
TikTok.
Google.
You go on TikTok and they tell you like all you know what I mean, all the symptoms, and then you just
Yep.
embrace it. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying?
So which of the symptoms do you have?
All of them, all of them. Whatever she got, that's what I got.
Mhm.
You know what I'm
Confusion.
saying?
That's the one.
That one.
No, but people definitely use it as to like make an excuse to not
Yeah.
have to deal with any
Criticism,
and what is it, flashback or
pushback.
pushback on whatever controversial things they may say, commentary that they have to say, and it's just like that doesn't excuse you
Right.
from anything. But
No,
yeah,
I agree
I don't know,
100%.
man.
I agree 100%.
Okay.
What do
I
you think
think
about it, Jay?
I think as your pastor Johnny Mack has said that none of this stuff exists.
Ooh,
It's all in your head?
It's all in your head.
ooh.
So
Dang.
yeah. Johnny
Go
Mac
ahead.
has gone viral, well, semi-viral, this past couple of days because he's, I don't know, like in this conference or like he's talking and
Right.
he has a few things to say about PTSD and all this other stuff. And we'll play a quick clip here.
Set it up.
Of,
Set it up. Do you know what the name of the conference was?
I don't know.
Uh-huh.
This tweet is from Dean DeFuria. And he just quotes him. I again, I don't know what
Yeah,
conference
yeah.
or
No, it's
on
okay.
the corner there it says something Valley.
I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah. So this is what Johnny Mack has to say about
What you say?
all of this.
There's no such thing as PTSD. There's no such thing as OCD. There's no such thing as ADHD. Those are noble lies. To basically give the excuse to, in the end of the day, to medicate people. And Big Pharma is in charge of a lot of that.
All right.
If you understand, take PTSD for example.
All right, we'll cut it off there. Yeah, so I mean, you were just saying you got, everything this chick is talking about, ADD, ADHD, and here comes your pastor, Jimmy, and he says, "No, that's a demon." He didn't say he's a demon, but
Yes, it's a
he
demon.
said, "Nah, you don't got that, sir." So, what you got to say now?
So he ain't my daddy. I mean, like, I don't care. Like now, you know what? I gotta watch it. I gotta watch it in context. It looks like it's a 41 Q&A panel for the Valley with Johnny Artavanis, Costi Hinn, John MacArthur, and Scott Artavanis. My bad, fellas. Yeah, I gotta check it out. What he's talking about in context, but just being familiar with like his protest with the pandemic.
Here we go.
Well, he did. He was one of the few pastors who protested and opened up church when everybody else was told to shut down.
Yes, correct.
So I imagine that he has a problem with, or I shouldn't say a problem. He has some opinions about big pharma, right?
Mhm.
And I think he has I think he has a valid point. Just not that it doesn't exist. I wouldn't go that far because I haven't done any research to say it doesn't exist. But I definitely think that drugs are overprescribed for some of these conditions or
Mhm.
whatever they're called.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I saw it a lot when my kids were younger. when they were in elementary school, a lot of the kids, you could tell they were like on Ritalin or whatever other drug it is, and it just seems like some kids just need to be hit with a chancleta, and they don't
Real talk.
necessarily need drugs, but because you got crowded classes, you know what I mean, and you got maybe discipline,
Mm-hmm.
acting a fool in class, they're gonna recommend them to get drugged up, you know what I mean, and I think that happens more often than not. I think it goes with you know PTSD, OCD, all of that. You know what I mean? ADD. A lot of times, like I definitely think I have ADD, but a lot of times is I just don't have discipline in certain areas. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a bit of both. And you look at the culture, like you're looking at TikTok right now, like everybody has some sort of trauma. Everything is trauma, and you got to be careful because you could trigger me, and you know what I mean. It's like, bro, like man up. You know what I mean? Like we didn't have that back in the day. You know what I mean? You just man up, you deal with it, yo.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with him in that sense. I feel like they definitely are overprescribing. And we saw that with Vicodins and Percocets and all of that stuff that happened with the opioid crisis. A lot of it was big pharma. You know what I mean? It wasn't street drugs. It was prescription drugs. So I imagine that's where he's coming from. But I'd love to see like what he says in context of the whole
Yeah,
situation.
I'd say yeah, I agree with you. Except for maybe the PTSD, because I think a lot of people, especially like veterans,
Oh yeah. My brother
um,
has PTSD. I'm
yeah,
not saying it doesn't exist. That's why I said I'm not gonna like jump out the window
for
and
sure.
say that, but I think that it is abused. Like the same way I jokingly say I have autism.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
like people just they just say that like they just say they have trauma, and it kind of desensitizes it. For people who really do have PTSD,
yeah,
who really
yeah.
do.
Right.
I think like you were saying, like schools and like different people and all these doctors, right? You take your child and it's like, hey, is he okay? Does he? It seems like this and that, right? And like I said, maybe they do need a chancleta, or maybe even like, yo, they have so much energy, they need some extracurricular activity, right? To
Right.
kind of like
Expend that
burn that
energy.
off, right? It's not that
Mhm.
your kid is autistic or anything like that, just there's different things, right? And I think John MacArthur is kind of on the money there, where everything is, just let me pump you with this. Yeah,
Mhm.
you look like you have this, let me just give you drugs for it, right? And then
Right.
you have it, for the rest of your life, and you kind of accept it into your life, and like, yeah, this is the way it's going to be for a long time. And then I guess the flip side of that is, um, I guess, kind of dangerous saying that this doesn't exist, because what if
Right.
somebody does have like, actually has, one of these conditions and
Mhm.
doesn't get treated or get the help they need, and
Mm.
it becomes a real problem, as they get older, or even as an adult. So yeah.
I think this is what happens when something like this becomes trendy. Like it becomes trendy to say that you have a disorder, that there's something wrong with you. There tends to be an overcorrection because people are exhausted, right?
Yeah.
So they
Right.
tend to be he's like, it just doesn't exist because he's probably seeing so many people. First of all, they make it their whole personality a lot of the time too.
Right.
And it's
Right.
interesting though that when you actually come across somebody that really does have one of these disorders, a lot of times they don't even want anybody to know.
Right.
So it's interesting that people are like now putting it out there as like it's their whole identity. But I thought it was interesting though, as far as you guys both saying that like you do think that it's always like medication is tends to be like the default response to just any disorder or anything. And it was funny. I was in one of my college classes that I was in. We were having a discussion about different things, and it was we had to talk about controversial stuff in that class like all the time. And there was a girl in there from Japan, and I remember she contributed to the conversation, and she said that the word stress does not exist in Japanese. And she was like, I think that Americans underestimate their ability to cope.
Mm,
And that was so profound to me because I started seeing it everywhere. I'm like, a lot of the things that are just, you're just really having a regular human experience of feeling quirky, or maybe feeling like misunderstood, or feeling like you don't fit in. And so you kind of put a disorder on it, or you attach
Right.
a certain kind of disorder, or you're looking around for some identity or some group to belong to, when really, like, you're just a human being and all of us are different. And so you are going to have differences from
Right.
everybody.
For sure.
And of course, there are people that do genuinely have, certain chemical imbalances, certain things that do give them like the actual symptoms of these different disorders and things. So I don't want to negate that.
Right.
But when people keep identifying with it, it really does cheapen it and make it harder for those people to, like, I don't even, be believed, I guess, or,
Right.
or
Yeah.
not genuine.
Yeah.
So,
It's like the boy who cried wolf.
exactly. So, yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. Nah, I totally agree with that. 100%. I got it. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Johnny Mac was like, yeah, like I got to see it in context, but he's like, no,
Right.
y'all bugging. It's all in your head. Tú estás
Right.
loco, you know.
I mean, I get it, because sometimes you just get fatigued, like, from hearing
Right.
so many, like, complaints of just so many, like, outlandish things, or
People
you're just,
lying.
yeah,
People be lying.
right. Just like the overcorrection, when you say everything's racist, then there's
Yeah.
people out there like, you know what, racism doesn't even exist.
Right.
Y'all trip, because it's like every single thing can't be racist, and they're just fatigued of
Right.
hearing that every single thing is racist.
Right.
I think
Right.
that's just like kind of a similar thing.
I
But
agree
yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
I'm curious what the feedback is going to be from people in Christendom.
I mean, you already had people talking about well, Beth Moore, if you guys I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with
Yeah.
her.
Mhm.
She's like, Dean, I've had this is something she tweets under that tweet. Dean, who's the person that we showed the tweet from, says, I've had several very serious conversations with my daughters and my board concerning my public voice and my aging when filters naturally thin, and we're at great risk of saying more than we should. Please ever respect him enough to sift what should and shouldn't be publicized. There is simply no way he could know, for example, what my husband has endured over being in the fire with his brother when he was a toddler and watching him burn, and not acknowledge the reality of PTSD.
She took it there, huh?
Yeah,
Dude saw his brother on fire. That's crazy.
that is
yeah.
crazy.
This other person says, as a fellow pastor committed to the authority and sufficiency of Scripture, please don't follow this PTSD. Please don't follow this. PTSD isn't just grief. The body responds to trauma. It's why it's used to be called shell shock in war. It's not just grief. OCD and HDD isn't just bad behavior choices. Um, maybe John MacArthur had mentioned it was a bad behavior choice later in that video. For those
Yeah,
that
I didn't
are
hear that.
wondering, the video, yeah, it's 2 minutes long. Obviously, we're not gonna play it, but if you wanna check it out, it'll be on our Telegram
Do you
channel.
guys agree with people saying that it's dangerous for him to say this?
No, I don't think it's dangerous for him to say it. I think that it allows for people to kind of self-analyze, right? To take inventory. And it's like, do I really got this? Do I really need, you know what I mean? Like, because like when I found out about ADHD, I was like, yo, this is me. You know what I mean? But I wasn't quick to go get some drugs. What I did was I went and I looked for different methods that could help me like stay focused, you know what I mean? To stay disciplined. Um, I have successes and I have failures, so I think it's good that the conversation is being had. A lot of people are going to agree and a lot of people are going to disagree.
Yeah, I slightly disagree with you, Jimmy, only because, like I
Um,
mentioned before, if somebody who does have, this condition or feels they have this condition, and they actually do, right? Them hearing John MacArthur say, well, this doesn't really exist, it's just because of the meds that you're taking or whatever, and then they stop taking those meds and then it becomes worse. I feel like that's where it gets dangerous. But I'm also not saying,
why would you stop taking your meds? Because Johnny Mac said it's not
well,
real.
you when you hear something like this and say, well, this doesn't really exist, right? And then you're kind of thinking like, dang, like I'm taking all these meds to keep me under control, right? Um, I should just stop because it doesn't exist. Because I hear this guy talking about it, right?
I don't think that's gonna happen, bro. I don't think that. And if it happens, it's gonna be a very small percentage of the
Small percent,
population
sure,
who
sure.
and those people who decide not to take drugs because of what Johnny Mac said already aren't taking drugs. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that just further that's like confirmation bias. Oh, Johnny Mac said so. See, I was right. I'm not taking my meds. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like that's how it would be. Um, Not necessarily like someone who's already taking meds and is like, oh, Johnny Mac said this isn't real, so I'm gonna stop taking my. I don't believe that. I believe like people who ain't gonna do it is people who wasn't gonna do it anyway. You know what I mean? Like me. I'm not taking no Adderall. You know, I'm not taking no Ritalin. Like it just is what it is.
Yeah. But I'm more talking about the person who may actually have a condition and is taking.
Wait, are you saying that I don't have a condition? Hold up, he just assumed my condition. Look at him.
Well, but you're not taking meds for it to
Yeah,
control.
you don't have it.
You know.
I do agree with you, Jay.
Wow. Don't let them negate your truth.
Right, you know what I mean?
Don't let
That's
them
my
negate
truth,
your
bro.
life
What are you talking
experience.
about, man?
Jay,
Everybody
I
has
kind
their
of
own
agree
truths.
with you though, because people get influenced all the time, hence the word influencer. I
Mhm.
think that
Ooh.
people that are fangirls, fanboys, or they look up to these people so strongly that someone said for love hip hop or whatever, for certain people who cling to his
Or
words,
whatever.
like it will never be me. I know it'll never be you. It'll never be Jay's LA. I don't know about Jay Acosta, but it'll never be.
If Elon said it,
right,
Jay's
Right.
doing it.
I don't know about
Well,
that.
Elon, we already know Elon's on the spectrum, so
But
That's why Jay's fighting so hard for this. It's for
Right.
Elon.
it's
Right. He's
real.
fighting for his
No, that's
boo. He's fighting
real.
for his boo.
all right. Sign everybody up for ketamine then.
Right, dang. But if somebody that you looked up to said it, and we were easily influenced, I do think that somebody could possibly happen. I'm not saying it would,
Mhm.
and it would happen to me, but I kind of agree with you, Jay. I agree with both of you on different things.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I agree with Jimmy too on different things.
Yeah, I just don't. I mean, yeah, if you got like the fanboy who's like, Johnny Mac or whatever, is like his favorite preacher, right? Like,
Autographed his Bible.
but I feel like that dude isn't. You're right. That dude isn't like. He's probably not taking Adderall or whatever drug they take for PTSD. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like he would already be against it. Like, he's not the dude who would be convinced by this. Like, this is again confirmation bias. It was just like, see, I told y'all that's why I don't be taking, my PTSD meds because Johnny Mac said so. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that person has already made the decision. I feel like a person who's taking meds isn't gonna be like, you know what, Johnny Mac said that. I think I'm gonna repent and stop taking. I just find it hard to believe,
You
bro.
would be
I don't
surprised.
necessarily.
You would be surprised.
Because it's Johnny Mac. I'm just saying,
Mhm.
dude is or girl is on Twitter, scrolling,
Yeah.
and happened to see this video, and it's taking.
No,
meds and
maybe
says, "Oh,
somebody who's
that dude
making a
is right.
decision, who's thinking
Right,
about
that dude is right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Maybe
I agree with you there. Yes.
yeah. Yeah. I think that number of people might be kind of low.
Sure.
But you think regardless of how we feel, you think that is this conversation good or is it a bad conversation to have? Like for him to say that, like,
So off the rip like this,
Yeah.
I would say it's dangerous,
Yeah.
slightly dangerous. But when you said that it's a good conversation to have, so you can like really analyze and like, okay, like, am I like, taking this on for no reason?
Right.
Then I tend to agree with you there, where the conversation should be had.
Oh no, it's crazy.
But yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at right now. But definitely, I would like to see what led up to that conversation. Because this video doesn't show that. It's just all of that, and then again, it's like 2 minutes long.
Yeah. Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Kasari?
Oh no, I was just gonna say people just need to pray.
I think people also need some self-awareness too.
Yeah.
Because everyone's different. Everybody's situation is different.
For sure.
Mhm.
It's just unfortunate that you can't necessarily rely on people to be self-aware. Because at first I was with Jay as LA in this conversation, but I do think that there are people out there that just do not have the mental fortitude to like make their own decision and stand on it.
Right.
They really do listen to a lot of different outside influences. So I could see why some of you would say that. Somebody might actually listen, or somebody might at some point in their life come across feeling like they're having PTSD and think, but Johnny Mac said it's not real, so I don't really have PTSD, or like something like that. But I don't know. It's all hypotheticals.
Yeah. For the love of hip hop says, I think it could be dangerous for certain people who cling to his words. They could suddenly stop taking their meds and they could fall deeper into depression, etc.
Which is what you said, right?
Which is kind of like what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I watched an episode of the Coffee Hour, and they had Dr. John Deloney, I believe he is. He's part of Ramsey, like the Ramsey people.
Yeah.
And they asked him a pretty profound question, and his answer was that sometimes people who kind of like self-diagnose, like I'm depressed or I'm this, it's like maybe you're not depressed, maybe you just have you never dealt with what you never dealt with your feelings, right? Or the trauma that happened, way back then or whatever. And you're kind of like sort of saying, okay, now I'm depressed. Like, and he was saying like, no, like, obviously the mind is a powerful thing. And like you can, to the help of like a therapist or whoever,
Right.
or even a pastor, can kind of like guide you to see like, hey, maybe you're not depressed. Maybe you're just legitimately really sad about something that happened back in the day. You just never processed it as a human, should, right? It was a good episode. Everybody should go watch it. So yeah. So it goes
You
in line
drop
with
it in the
what
channel?
for the love of hip hop says. Say again?
You drop it in the channel? On
Yeah,
Telegram?
sure. I'll drop it right now. As Brie says what she was gonna say.
DJ LNF said, is Psalms not a book full of mental illness? And he also said anti Johnny Mac in these parts. Is Psalms not a book full of mental illness? Depression for sure.
Sure.
I mean, Psalms has a lot of things going on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
it's
it
all over. It's like
doesn't
waves.
advocate medication.
No.
It does say wine is good for the soul, though.
And then you have the extreme where people go in OD.
For sure.
But I feel like what you just said, Jay, is kind of like what Johnny Mac is saying. I mean, he's like way in the polar opposite, the other side of the spectrum, where he's like it doesn't exist at all. You know what I mean? And you're saying like you need, I think we're all pretty much saying is like you need to evaluate that and make sure you're just not clinging on to that. You should be clinging on to the Lord, right?
Real talk.
And it might need medication. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. Is ADHD considered a mental illness? Is PTSD considered a mental illness? I don't know that it is. I'm just thinking that now because I'm reading LNF's comments about Psalms. But I guess that's more pertaining to depression, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he said Johnny Mac said that PTSD is just grief, right? That you haven't really dealt with, which is kind of like what you were saying.
Well, how should I say? Well, PTSD. I mean, yes and no, right? Because again, you go to those people that have fought in wars and stuff like that's pretty traumatic,
For sure.
experience.
For sure.
For those people, right? Obviously, PTSD could probably branch out to like other things that are like really horrible that not necessarily came about because of you went to war.
Right.
But yeah. For those on the YouTube, I just posted a link for the podcast to our Telegram channel, so you could check it out.
Yeah, that's interesting perspective. Maybe we should get a professional here to
Real talk, because we obviously don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
100.
Well, I can get certified right now in 5 minutes.
Yeah, word
on TikTok.
On TikTok.
Yo, I seen that for like becoming a minister. Like you just take a little.
Oh yeah, that's man quick.
quiz.
Sure.
Yeah,
I saw it on Friends.
Yeah, definitely.
Well,
Anyway, what's next?
What is next?
Oh, do you want to?
Oh, you got some PTSD, don't you?
Yeah, yeah. Dang.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Self-diagnosing.
So on my Instagram stories last week,
You want me to put up the video, or are you just going to talk about it?
Yeah, you could actually go ahead and play it.
Oh,
All right,
yeah,
I gotta find it.
video.
Hold
Roll
on.
the tape. Oh, he has to find it.
Yeah,
Roll the tape.
Hold
But I
on.
really want to know what everybody thinks about this topic.
Oh, I got thoughts on this one.
Okay, cool.
I got
Oh yeah,
thoughts.
because he's a dad. He's got
As a dad of 2 boys,
Yeah.
ages 4 and 8 months. Let's see here. Man.
But you got more than 2 boys.
What?
You don't have 2
No, just-
kids.
I have 3.
Yeah. Why you only
Yeah,
say
but I
the
mean,
boys, though?
I have a daughter.
Well, yeah, but the daughter, you don't think? I mean, it pertains to this
You're right.
conversation. No?
You're right. You're right. Oh man, I can't find it right now.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
rich.
Wait, you said it was on your stories. It wouldn't be there, right? It was from last week.
No, she down. Oh, I got it. Here we go.
Oh.
Hold
Okay,
on.
all right.
Let me download it. Hold on.
I sent it to the chat.
Oh.
The chat.
Yeah, she did. All right.
Don't know about
I'm
that.
pulling it up now. Sorry, this is live, ladies and gentlemen.
While he's pulling that up,
Oh.
make sure you hit the thumbs up.
Let's
Make sure
go.
you subscribe.
Let's
And drop
go.
a comment.
It's freaking funny.
Yeah, let us
Shout
know
out to
your thoughts.
LNF. Shout out for the love hip hop. Kyle Manning in the building, and he didn't even cuss out the girls today. Shout out.
I
to
didn't
you,
notice
Kyle.
that Young Slick was back.
Who's Young Slick?
Oh
Slick.
yeah, what's good, Young
I'm
Slick.
curious
His
to know what
doppelganger.
concert any of you will be attending.
Oh, that was kind of random.
Killer Mike.
He probably was talking about Christian ones.
I know. Killer Mike.
He said Jesus, right?
So, I have no idea why I'm thinking about this, but growing up in church, I've had like a handful of different parents who have told me that they want me to be with their son, which is like harmless and like, it's like, cool, I'm flattered. But at the same time, I'm not, because a lot of these parents had no idea that their son was borderline Lucifer himself.
Ooh.
And it's like, I don't know why you want me to be with that demon. And then
Save
also,
him.
like, you're kind of
Dang.
embarrassing him and, like, ruining his game. Because if he's a man, like, let him be a man
Ooh.
and, like, pursue me himself if that's what he wants to do. But he probably doesn't, because the type of girls he's into, you probably have no idea about. So this is just a wake-up call for parents. I understand that you want your adult sons to be married and stuff like that, but start young and raise them to be a man of God if you want him to be with a woman of God. And then also stop ruining his game.
Dang.
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 That was
Anything
deep.
else you want to say?
All right.
I think I said it. Go ahead. I want to hear your guys' thoughts, and then we'll have a
Give a
dialogue.
little bit, give it as much context as you can, and then kind of like where your thought process was when you made this video. Obviously, you said a lot. And
Does
then-
that hold on? Does that mom follow you by any chance?
No, none of the people, well, that I know of, none of them
Yeah.
follow me.
Okay.
All right. So then, what got you to make this
Mm-mm.
video?
So, because like I said, growing up, okay, so actually, I'm not going to tell the full context of the story because I don't want to give away who it is, because there could be people from church watching this.
Sure.
But there was like a couple weeks ago, I told my twin, and this wasn't like it wasn't the mom telling me, "Oh, I want you to be with my son." But this lady tried to introduce me to her son. He wasn't like paying attention, right? But then she goes on to say, I'm not going to say what it is that she actually said he does. But she says, he's a pilot. He's cool.
He's cool.
That's what she said to me. And I was just like, oh, okay. And I felt really, really awkward. And then I just like turned around and me and my twin like left. But I was like, it gave me the PTSD flashbacks of growing up in church. And then you weren't paying attention. Remember, I told you after, and then you told me that she had said some stuff to you too about her son. About her son. I
Uh-oh.
said,
She's trying to
lady,
find
get
him a
your
wife.
dusty son from out of my ear.
Hey. Dang.
So I don't know her son, but I don't know this lady either from Adam, but that's what it it just reminded me of that.
Yeah.
So growing up, there were people who would
So she
sometimes
knows nothing about you. She just knows that you go to church.
yeah, I mean, maybe she
You could
sees me
you could be a
around. I
hot
don't know.
mess. You could be a hot mess and
100%.
she don't even know. She just thinks you're a
100%.
nice church girl.
Yes,
That's
100%.
wild.
She has. I don't know this lady from Adam, so
Right.
so there have been people where growing up in church, who would come as a kid, right? Who would tell me, I want you to be with my son, right? And as a kid, my dad always shut that down, like
Yeah.
quick, right? He would always be like, she's not focused on that right now. And like
Right.
they'd be like laughing and joking and stuff like that. That was not funny to my dad.
Yeah.
He shut that down. Like,
You see me
don't talk to
laughing?
her, right? So as an adult, though, there have been people that have approached me. There was one lady, literally like within 20 minutes of meeting her, she was like, I want you to date my son. Her son did not go to church. He was not even saved. I'm
Keep
like,
for the streets.
you don't even know me.
Right.
Like, you literally met me 20 minutes ago.
I will
and you're like,
stun your son.
Right. I could be a
Right.
whole demon. You don't even know.
100%. And then there was somebody else who he told me that his parents wanted me and him to get married.
Right.
And I was like, did you tell them no? Because hell no, bruh. And he was, first of all, he was like, oh, the type of girls that he was into were not me. They were not saved. So
Yeah.
like, so I'm just like, his parents have no idea that he's low key for the streets.
Yeah.
And they want him and I to be together.
Don't
for
save
whatever reason.
him. He don't want to
So-
be saved.
Real talk.
So that's the back story of
Yeah.
this story. So now I want to hear your guys' thoughts.
I don't see. I think that the parents are wrong for not like really investing that time to get to know you, right? To vet. I don't see anything because Abraham looked for a wife for Isaac, right? So like I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I do think that some kind of vetting has to be done. Do you know what I mean? Like just because you go to church don't mean that you saved. Like I said, you could be a whole demon. They don't even know. You know what I mean? You could be 10 times as worse as that dude. You know what I mean? Like
But did Abraham look for a wife for Isaac? Because didn't he just tell him, go get a wife out of this house?
he told his homie to go, one of his servants.
Okay, go.
Yeah. Yeah, go find my son a wife.
So it wasn't even Abraham himself.
But I mean, that was his man's. Like, like it's like you send your twin out to, go get she know you, It's like go find me a man.
That's crazy. But
Well, that's another thing that's crazy, and this is a different topic for a different day. But the fact that no, he who finds a wife, you're supposed to find me. I'm not supposed to find you.
Yeah, for sure.
You dirty mother. No.
dang.
No, I agree. It's definitely I think he should had at least if that's a conversation that he had with his parents, he should have definitely approached you or try to befriend you, try to court you or something like that. Like not like send his mom or whatever.
But I think that the parents are just doing it. Like their
She don't
sons don't
know.
even know. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm embarrassed. Like
He
I
just
feel
not-
embarrassed for your
Yeah.
son.
Yeah, if he had a chance, he don't now.
That's literally exactly the thought process.
Like your
I'm-
mom is in my business. I could just see what this relationship is gonna be like in 10 years. We
No,
good.
exactly.
That's
That's
crazy.
literally exactly my
That
line of
is
thinking.
crazy.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna read some of these comments just because they're funny. And then Jay, I want to hear your thoughts on this.
Sure.
So Q said, saw the story. I agree, Bree. Young Slick said she's brutal. LNF said, dang, Bree K said bump arranged marriages. This story is an extension of the last album. Young Slick said some guys need a layup. Q said brutality and honesty sometimes go hand in hand.
All
Young
right.
Slick said some guys don't have riz like myself. We could use an assist. And somebody replied to my story saying that, and I just disagree.
Blocked.
No, he's somebody that's like already married now, but
Right,
he was like
right.
kind of trying to say, oh, growing up, like I didn't have game and like all this stuff. And like, so I was shy and like, my parents failed me and like this and that. And I just feel like, man, the frick up. But
Hold
yeah,
up.
anyway.
Yeah. I'm glad that I agree with the last part you said right there because we talking about a man who's what mid-20s, late 20s, early 30s. Like at some point, like you got to man up, bro. Like
Yeah, I agree. And then Kyle said, do you go to Tim Ross church? That's crazy. Young Slick said, I need to arrange marriage or I might never get married. LOL.
Maybe because you're not manning up.
yeah, you got to go find your wife, man.
So first, Jay Acosta, I want to hear what you have to say, and then second of all, I would like to see you guys give advice to these men who like don't want to approach or who think that like they need assistance or something.
Well,
But go.
Bricky sounds
Wow, you use your first and last name.
as I mentioned before, right? I have 2 boys and I have a girl as my children currently. And I can kind of see myself in the shoes of that mother that was like, "Oh, you should like, date my child." Now, I wouldn't go as far as like I'm meeting you for the first time or whatever, or not even 20 minutes as you said somebody else did, and like trying to like talk about, my kid, or you would be perfect for them, right? I think there should be some sort of relationship for, a given time. Like for example, the way me and my wife met was through church, right? I was serving in church with the pastoral team, and they knew my wife since she was basically a baby, and she grew up, with them, and they had suggested it, and like you guys have a lot of similar things, right? You guys have grown up in church, you love the Lord, right? Obviously all of this is with relationship, right? It wasn't like this the very first day that I stepped into the church and
Right.
it was like, okay, here's this person, right? And I kind of think of it that way, like for my boys and my kids, right? I kind of I guess like it to be kind of like that way where in the church you're in, you're kind of like you're seeing how this gentleman or this lady is growing in the Lord and everything like that, and you could kind of be like, well, maybe something could work out here, right?
Mhm.
I don't know what you think about that, Bree.
I think suggesting is fine. But I think that there's a way to suggest rather than just like, I want you to marry my son. Like that's a little too overbearing for me. And like
Mm,
Jay Azale mentioned earlier, like if that's how you are in your child's life, then I can already see how this relationship would be. Like
Mhm.
that's already like a red flag to me as an indication of how this relationship would be. So but I don't, if it was like something where like you said, where your situation was like the different people in the church knew her whole life, right? And then they knew you and they were close to you and they kind of just like suggested it, that makes sense. I feel like that makes a lot more sense. But as a parent, just like going up to random girl that I'm like, I don't even know you like that.
mhm,
Um,
mhm.
it's crazy. I think it's
Yeah.
crazy and it's embarrassing to your kids.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now let me ask you this question, right? Because you mentioned that um, the young man, um, the girls that he's looking for isn't necessarily the type of girl like for like you are.
Yeah, yeah.
So now is that more of an assumption or more like
No.
let me try to think because I don't want to put you on the spot and like you said, people are could be watching.
Mhm.
Um, okay, so you said it's not an assumption, so you kind of know this person.
I knew him very well. He was my very close friend.
Okay. All right, yeah. So
Well,
the
that gives you
parent had a
context then.
misconception of the kind of girls
That
that
might be
you
different
just
then. If
mentioned.
you guys are friends, then I could see why the parent might want you to. They might not
Right.
know all the ratchetness that their son is doing, but
That's
I
what I'm
could
saying
see.
though. That's what I'm
Right.
saying though. Like you need to know that before you
Right.
try to suggest. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, there. I don't know. For
Because if
me,
the
in that,
roles were reversed, that they would be on you, right? They would be like, "This half a, you know,
yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Like, why are you hanging out with her? And blah. Like, I can't save your son.
yeah."
You know, like,
That's
and
what I
I
was
You want
thinking
to be
like
before.
safe,
we're friends. I can suggest things to him, but I cannot save your son. He has to make that decision,
right?
and he wants to be out here running the streets and stuff. So
See, but as a parent, you're kind of thinking like, well, um, you know, he knows he knows this girl for a while. Obviously, I can see that this girl, loves God or whatever. Do I necessarily know that my son might want, a girl from the streets? No. But then I don't see any harm in suggesting like, hey, why don't you, my son might be, do something or get together.
I guess you're right. I guess that there is no harm in it, but I just think that the reality was like he didn't want like a nice church girl.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's not who he ended up with.
Right.
So, and I knew that, I knew the type of girls he was into because like I said, we were really good friends.
Yeah.
But I was like, nah, yeah. So when he said that, I'm like, you told them no, right? You told them that's not happening.
Right. You told him,
Yeah.
right? Right?
Don't give moms and dads no false hope.
Right.
It's not happening here. But that's another thing though, what you're saying, Jay. I think also because sometimes parents in the church too, they want you to befriend their kids also. That's like another thing.
Mm,
And sometimes because they want you to be like a good influence on their kids and stuff like that.
right.
It's like the
Mhm.
kids don't want to hang out with me. The stuff that I do, they don't want to do.
Right.
Like the stuff
Mm.
that they're into, I'm not into that stuff.
Right.
Like we're not even
Right.
compatible as friends.
Right.
You want me to try to save your kid and I can't.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
You know?
really what it is.
Yeah. I also think I think parents, for the most part, right? Like, let's say a son is, out in the streets or whatever, and um, they come to church, and then the parent kind of want to show them kind of somebody that's different, based on like kind of the path that they're trying to put their children into. So I don't even know what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to gather my thoughts.
Hmm.
Yeah, like
I get what you're saying. That the parents are trying to positively influence their kids with other people in the church that they see.
right,
Like
right,
around
right.
the same
So
age, that kind
if
of thing.
you know that your child is trying to find a girlfriend or a boyfriend, why not kind of like shift them to like, hey, why don't you like look in the in
Suggestive
interest
sell.
yourself?
Like,
Say again.
I did suggestive sell like they do in the restaurants. Like, you want fries with that? You want to date a church girl? I mean,
Yeah,
I just feel it's crazy. Like, as a parent, like if you're not like investing in getting to know like your kid's spouse or someone you're vetting for you, like, like, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about that? You
yeah,
know what
but
I mean?
also we're not talking about a 15, 16-year-old, right? I'm thinking we're talking about much old, like an adult,
It
right?
don't matter. Like, you should still know if you're pushing for this girl to be with your son or this guy to be with your daughter. You should get to know them because you don't know where they stand on certain issues. There's some Christians that celebrate Halloween, some don't. You know what I mean? Some celebrate Easter, some don't. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't mean Resurrection Sunday. I mean like with the Easter bunny and all that. You know what I'm saying? Some
Yeah.
are into horror movies and some are against it. They say it's demonic. You know what I mean? So like, there's a lot of things that you really need to get to. You know what I mean? How do you feel about baptism? How do you feel about speaking in tongues? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many things that you need to get to
Sure.
know about a person instead of just like, oh, this person's cute and they go to church. So consistently, they have a good attendance award. They go to church at least 3 times a month. Like, that's not enough, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know
Right.
anything about a person. You hope that like that they're Christian and they're saved, but all you know is that they show up to church on Sunday. That's it.
Sure.
How involved do you guys think that parents should be in their children's like dating life or like who they choose as a spouse? Like, do you think parents should make suggestions on that sort of thing, or do you think that well, let me not say what my actual opinion is. What do you guys think?
I think the
No,
Socratic
say your opinion because that'll affect how I might answer.
What were you gonna say though, Jay? As always.
Using the Socratic method, so not necessarily telling your kid what they should look for, but what do you value, in a husband, in a wife, what is my wife, every time we have a conversation about relationships, she reminds me of there was this Dr. Phil episode where there was this couple and the guy was like, he wanted to be with this girl for a long time, right? He wanted to be with her for a long time. And so, they're talking and something's just not clicking, right? And so Dr. Phil's like, what's a long time? He's like, I don't know, 6 months. You know what I mean? Like, so it's important to know, kind of define, you know what I mean, what people are expecting, what they see in a relationship, what they want in a relationship, and those type of conversations need to be had early on, and you really should have those conversations with your kid first, right? To really understand what their objectives are. Because like your man's, he like fast girls, you know what I mean? Like, and the parents don't know that, and that's crazy to put like But if you was like a naive church girl and like, okay, you know what I mean, and then this dude's like not coming home, you know what I mean? Like he's got another baby mama, you know what I mean? Like y'all been married for 2 years and he got 3 baby mamas in that, like, you know, in that time span. Like
No, right.
that's just not. You know, I think that parents should definitely be involved, but I think they need to be involved with their kids first. You know, and they do need to invest in their the spouse, their kid's spouse as well, for sure.
I agree. No Sabo Manga said, I have to disagree with the befriending thing. You can't underestimate the influence you have on a person's life as a friend. You might be the person God uses to touch their life, but yes, you can't save them. I don't know how I feel about that, because there have been people in my church that have tried to make us be friends with their kid who doesn't attend church regularly, who's not living an upright lifestyle.
Yeah.
You can't force people to be their friend,
Right.
but also you're taking from me. What are you giving to me? Like, you know, I just feel like it
Right.
has to be an even exchange sometimes. Like,
Friendship is a two-way street.
yeah.
And if it's gonna just be like me pouring into your kid, that's not a friendship. That's like a mentorship.
Right.
Or
And then
something else.
not only that, but they're like the opposite sex. Why are you telling a girl?
Yeah,
Go tell a guy. Go
right.
tell the older brethren.
Your son needs to be discipled. That's what he don't need a girlfriend. He need to be discipled.
Exactly. And the thing is, you didn't raise your son then.
Mhm.
Because you're not like, I mean, I feel like those are the type of people that are like putting other people, forcing the responsibility, yes, on the church. And you want me to raise your kid. Why don't you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just, to me, it's a great area, because I do feel like I do feel for people that don't go to church, I do feel for the lost. I do have like that heart to like want to reach out, but at the same time, you can't force other people to pour their time, their efforts, their everything else, and drop everything, what they're doing to just.
They can't put the burden of turning their son into a husband on you.
Right.
Like, you should have done that already. You should have prepared him to be a husband.
Exactly.
Like, that's your job.
Right. I think that's another thing when I ask like how involved should parents be like in their kids' like dating life and that sort of thing. Honestly, the first thing you should be as an example is what I think.
Right.
Because
Absolutely.
I'm sorry to use this language, Kyle, cover your ears, but I will say that having present and active parents who provide a good example for you is the biggest cock block, because you will literally not be attracted to anything that is subpar to that standard. And it's like, that is the best thing you can do for your kids.
Yeah.
I think, is to be a good example, be present, and raise them up in the Lord. Like, that's the best thing you can do. And if you didn't do that, and if your kids don't have that, I don't think it's too late for parents to talk to their children about the things that they know now, or the things that they may have learned.
Right.
But to put that burden on somebody else is just not, I don't know. It's just not effective. One.
You set up for disaster that way.
I think so.
To answer your question a little bit about how involved should a parent be, and I think you said it right there. I think it starts at home, right, with the way the husband treats the wife, and then the wife treats the husband, right? Because this is their kind of example, right there, right before their eyes, to see how mom and dad are, right, with each other, and kind of give you that picture of what a life can be when you decide, it's time to settle down and choose a husband and choose a wife, right? You see a lot of times families who are not together for whatever reason, right? Most of the time, they bring that into their own marriages, right? And then they end up kind of like how mom and dad ended up, right? So I think the parents' involvement starts with how they treat each other, and then I think, like Jimmy says, what are some things that you value for a wife to be or a husband to be. So yeah, those are things. to consider. No Sabo says, I wouldn't force you. I wouldn't force you. Can't force anyone.
Mm-hmm. And then you should mirror what you want for your kids in your marriage. I agree. Sorry to use such strong language, but I do.
It's right. Yeah.
And then I also do want to say too, with parents, like with my own parents, like they were not perfect, but they did explain a lot of things to me. And they did also tell me these are the mistakes that we made that I don't want you to have to go through that. So like I think that parents also should be transparent about some of the mistakes that they've made. And I feel like a lot of parents want to try to come off as like some perfect image to their kids, or they never want to be like, I don't know, like they'd want to like self-preserve their image or something to their kids. And I think that you're doing them a disservice when you do that. Just be honest about the decisions that you made that you don't want them to make, and tell them these are the mistakes that I made. And I don't want that for you. I want better for you, you know? So
I remember probably 15 years ago or something, I was like arguing with my mom because I was just being a rebellious teen. And I was just like, I don't go to parties, and I don't smoke, I don't drink. Like I was trying to like prove my point that I'm like a good kid. And she's like, that's the expectation. Like as a Christian, that's the standard. You're not doing anything like special. And I do think that like, yeah, it's when you're raised with that expectation, you're going to demand that expectation be met when you're looking for somebody who you want to spend the rest of your life with.
Right. Sure. For sure.
Or be friends with.
What?
I said, or be friends with.
So are you working on an arranged marriage now, Jay, for your kids? Are you prospecting?
You already looking.
No, obviously they're too young. So
my kids, when they were younger, my boys, like whenever they were like first grade, kindergarten, there'd always be that mom would be like, oh, with a daughter, oh, your son's so handsome, I want to pair them up with my daughter. It's like, bro, they're kids, like you're disgusting. Like, what do you?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you're weird. What's wrong with you? Like, let them be kids, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I'm not against arranged marriages, but like talking like that when they're like 6 is just weird.
I agree. And I'm glad we're all on the same page about that.
That's very weird.
Well, hold on. Arranged marriage in the sense of like you're gonna marry this boy or girl no matter what because we said so type of marriage.
Yeah, why not?
Nah, I don't know if I agree there. Oh, it got silent. What happened?
I thought you was gonna follow up with why you don't agree.
No. Oh, why don't I agree with that? Because it's like you said, right? Like I don't fully know the other person. They could put up a front and think and make me think.
But that's the whole reason why you take the time and invest and to know the person, like the same way that pastor.
Yeah, but back in the day, they didn't do that.
The same way that pastor did with you and your wife. Like how was that different?
I guess because it wasn't like, okay, this is a person you're gonna.
But that's how you're seeing it. You're seeing it as like, this is the person you're gonna marry, and nobody's saying that. We're just saying arrange. Like, why does it have to be in that context?
But that's the way I'm thinking about it, as arrange. Like,
then what is the context, JSLA?
I'm just saying, like, arranged marriage to me just means like your parents are invested in finding you a spouse. The whole family is involved because I feel like your parents know you best. I imagine if they raise you up in the way that they're supposed to, in the way of the Lord, like I feel like that would benefit you from getting input from your parents, right? And so, if a parent tells you like, hey, this girl or this guy seems like a good person, whatever, you know what I mean? Not necessarily like Jay saying like you have to marry this person.
That's
like,
what arrange. That's what it is. That's what. Well, at least
like that, like with a gun to your head. That's what.
Yeah, like this is it. This is the person.
See, I don't see it like that.
I don't care what you say.
I don't see it like that.
This that 2020.
I think
arranged marriage.
I think parents are more involved in an arranged marriage. I think that they know a lot better, and especially I think it works best in a society or in a culture where it's homogenized. You know what I mean? Like where it's Christians, where it's other believers, not necessarily like somewhere like here, right? In the States, because you don't know what you're getting, right? you're getting a whole demon. They just get like going to what you were saying about Kasari. So I was that kid who was going to church because my mom dragged me to church. I didn't want to be in church. I would go to church and I'd be like, where's my homie at? Because I want to go smoke this blunt real quick and then come back right after worship. You know what I'm saying? Like I was that dude. So you didn't want your mom arranging a marriage with me. You know what I'm saying? But that's why I feel like parents should really be involved. I'm not talking about like you should marry this person. I think parents being invested in like, hey, this is a good person for you to marry. These are the qualities that you say that you like. This person has them. You know what I mean?
Go
That's
say
just
what's up.
that's just how I see it. Yeah, but I would tell my son to, go holler at Shorty. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Exactly.
So can you guys go ahead and help some of these dudes? One of the guys that he was saying he gets rejected all the time, and
Hey, bro, rejection is part of life, man. Like
right.
you gotta take it to the chin, keep it moving.
a no just get you closer to your yes. You know what I'm saying? Like that's it, man. You got to take sales strategy. You know what I'm saying? Like first and foremost, you should be praying for your spouse.
Absolutely.
Whoever that person. I've been praying for my kids' spouses since they were in my wife's belly. You know what I'm saying? Like I've been
Right.
praying for them. And you should be praying for your spouse. Because when you get married, you don't stop praying for your spouse. First and foremost, that's what you should do. And you talk to God to give you confidence, to give you courage. You know what I mean? In my opinion. And look, all them no's, all them girls, you dodged the bullet, bro. You know what I mean? You got to change your perspective. You getting a whole bunch of no's, that's good. You know what I mean? You don't want that headache, man. You don't want that headache.
I've never understood.
Or you gotta try
why,
harder. You gotta
I've
try
never
harder. I mean, you
understood
ain't gonna be like
why.
it's not gonna be on a I'm sorry. It's not gonna be on a platter like
Persistent. You
the
mean
first
persistent?
yes. Yeah, you gotta be persistent. Like, go ahead, cause BK.
I've just never understood why guys let rejection stop them. Like, just keep shooting until you find the right person. Like, I don't understand what the problem is, I guess. But I know that like I'm not a guy and I don't do the shooting, so like
Right.
but like I don't get it. Like, just keep trying until you find the girl that says yes. Somebody's gonna say yes at some point.
Right.
Yeah, it's a
Just
numbers game.
move on
I
to the next.
I think it's a little bit of laziness, and I think it's a little bit of
What do you mean laziness?
kind of like um like it's hard to explain, right? Because I feel like people want the challenge, but then once they hit the roadblock, they're like, never mind. I don't want this. Let me try. Go back and feel depressed. Instead of like keep going at it and like keep going forward and try to like climb over that wall.
Yeah.
So that's why I say like I think a lot of people, well, at least now, it's more you want it easy. When like stuff like this it shouldn't be easy.
Anything worth obtaining doesn't come easy.
Right.
It requires
Facts.
effort and work. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Big
And
facts.
we're talking about the probably one of the most important decisions that you're gonna make in your life, right? Is
Right.
who you're gonna spend it with for the rest of your life.
All right.
And you got dudes that just wanna, one night stands and all this other stuff. Like that's I don't know. To me, it's
brother.
yeah.
Brother.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yo,
rejection tends to
this
affect
is the
those
comment
areas.
right here. This is the comment of the day right here. City boys.
That city boys, that's crazy. You are the prize, bros.
Facts.
Maybe not the prize, but you are a prize. If you're somebody that's worth pursuing, or you're somebody that's worth being with, like you are a prize. So hold your head up, King. Keep trying.
Facts.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, God will make a way. God will provide, man. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. You just gotta be persistent, man. You know what I mean? And discerning too,
Real
because
talk.
Because
Facts.
persistence don't always pay off either. Sometimes you gotta know when no means no. You know what I'm saying? Like, I am not interested in you, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we cool. You're like my brother. You're like my cousin.
I'm calling the cops.
That bros.
Yeah, right. I'm calling the
Try
cops.
one more
It's a good
time.
sign.
I'm calling the
That's a
cops.
good sign. That's a good sign. Restraining order. That's a good sign.
That's crazy.
Young Slick said, I'm
Ooh.
too good looking to be rejected so much and nice, respectful, and most importantly, loves the Lord. I can already tell, Young Slick, you have the nice guy complex.
And then No Sabumongo said, Young Slick, that's the problem. You sound arrogant a bit.
100%. You have the nice guy complex where it's like, oh, I'm
said,
so
"I'm
nice.
too
Why
good
doesn't anybody
looking."
like
Yeah,
me?
shut up.
He said,
Shut the up.
He said,
Go
"I'm too
work on
good looking to
yourself."
Be rejected. That's wow.
That's crazy.
We're gonna block you right now. No, I'm just kidding.
That switch.
kidding.
That switch.
That's
burner
what is
account.
burning.
Nah. I don't think it's Switch anymore. But anyway, yeah.
David Mendoza Jr. on Instagram said, love the topic. I waited 9 years for my wife. I prayed and asked God to bring me the right woman. I wasn't really shooting my shot, but I was waiting on God.
That's crazy. 9
And that's on
years.
God.
Let's
That's
go.
wild. 9
Let's
years
go.
though.
That is crazy.
Yeah. Now let me ask you this, ladies.
Hmm.
You guys, I'm assuming are not taken, like not dating anybody or seeing anybody. Is that right?
I am taken.
You're single till you're married.
She's married to Jesus, bro. What are you talking about?
Okay. Well, let's not go to that extreme. But, what is it like now with the whole dating in church?
The trenches.
Do you find
The sewer.
I may know the answer to
fine,
this,
go ahead.
but do you find men are trying to pursue or
No.
no? Okay.
They sit around and cry about why they don't have a wife, but they don't ever like pursue somebody.
Mhm.
Oof.
But it's like, I mean, please don't pursue me if that's how you are. Don't try because
Yeah.
no.
Right. They want to be wined and dined. So I'm like, maybe I'm not the right candidate.
Uh-huh.
It seems like, and I don't want to sound like angry and bitter because I'm not. I promise you, it's no sweat off my back. But I do think that a lot of guys, it's almost like they want you to save them low key. Like they want you to be their therapist, their father, their pastor, like be the one that guides them spiritually, be the one that helps them makes their life decisions for them low key. And it's like, we're not even in a committed relationship. Like, why are you asking me what you should do in this situation? First of all, a lot of you need to get your money up. That's another thing.
Right.
Because don't tell me about your financial problems. I'm not helping you with that.
Dang, hold on.
I'm not helping you with that. We're not even in a committed relationship. Don't tell me about your financial problems. Second of all, I feel like the bear. Hold up. Let me finish. Let me finish.
Let her cook.
I really think that like the minimum of what, because a lot of guys ask you like, oh well, what do girls even want? Like, what do you guys even want? First of all, Amanda obviously loves the Lord and is led by the Holy Spirit. Serious about pursuing holiness and righteousness. Like that's like standard. And then it's also like basic, like somebody who's nice and like somebody who's willing to protect and provide. Like that's it, pretty much. Like at least start there. And somebody who's not scared to initiate. That's another thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of like what my question was.
Oh, you hit a sensitive spot. My man said I miss switching ant.
I'm sure he does.
Yeah. So the reason I asked you guys before it was because I kind of see how the QEW says the soft boy era, right? Where
more Kevin Samuels.
Dudes aren't really like out there like trying to like pursue or things like that. So I kind of had like that idea that was the case, but you said that they need to get their money up.
They do.
I mean,
maybe not for every woman, but you need to get
guys. Sure.
Yeah.
Well, Jay,
we live in Orange County, California, and and
we're in our 30s.
Got to.
Like, here's the thing. I feel like there is somewhat of a disconnect with Christian married couples that are still kind of young, maybe the same age. We have a lot of friends that may be around the same age as us, and they've been married since they were like 20. So I feel like the point of views are different when it comes to us speaking about singleness. Like, if you've never been single in your 30s, then of course we're gonna have a different point of view.
Yeah, you have higher standards.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because you ain't got time to waste.
Exactly.
You're a lot
And
more
we should be
mature.
established by now. Like,
Yeah.
I understand when you're in your 20s, you guys aren't established. Maybe you're just finishing
We're getting the
school,
bag together.
college.
We're glowing up
Yes.
together. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
exactly.
But
But
at
if
yeah.
I spent my whole 20s already working on those things,
Yes.
and then you just want to come in like you're just gonna start working on yourself, so you're down here and I'm up here, and you expect me to just automatically be attracted to you,
Right?
That's crazy. You need some self-awareness, son.
Right.
Like,
Right.
for real.
Okay.
Pass
Yeah.
the operating plate.
Jay, you all get cussed out if you think if you
is
disagree.
good.
I just
No,
disagree with you right now.
no, you guys definitely put it into perspective. You know, the whole, if you haven't been single while you're 30s, it's kind of like where my mind was at. I was like, I mean, you guys are right. Absolutely right. LLF said no Cheesecake Factory, fellas. Come on.
Oh, I love Cheesecake Factory. First of all,
That doesn't
you
matter.
go.
Yeah,
that doesn't matter to me. Like, those type of things, I don't care about that type of stuff. But like, how's your credit though?
That too.
You know what I mean? Like,
that says about your character, right?
yeah.
Right.
And then also, like, if I've been working on having good credit, it's in throughout my 20s, like, and you haven't,
right?
We're just not on the same. We don't value the same
We don't have
things,
the
in my
same goals,
opinion.
right?
Yeah,
Right.
credit's from the devil anyway.
Oh wow.
Okay. Mine is good.
I mean, you're pretty much right, because it's like, how dare the IRS try to give me a credit score, and like the government's like in trillions of dollars of debt. But anyway, go ahead.
Tell them right
And
there.
are you walking in God's purpose for your
Yeah.
life? Like, I don't know. I just think that, like, that to me, that's the bare minimum.
No, it is.
Do you
Yeah,
have
yeah.
self-control and self-discipline? Are you patient? Do you like spend time with your family? Do you prioritize God first? Like,
that should be reflecting your finances too, right?
Like,
And your
values.
credit and everything else, right? Because you're a good
Your
steward of your
discipline,
money.
your
Yeah.
level of discipline, your level of responsibility. You can't
Right.
expect me to be the only one having it for you,
Right.
Right.
and then expect me to be the one motivating you. You're not motivating me. You low key
Right.
gonna drag me down.
Real
Why
talk.
would I? Like, why would I want to be with you?
Yeah.
You know, like, and I'm not trying to be mean. I'm like, I really am saying this to like some of the guys who may watch the replay or maybe
Right.
watching now or whatever. Like, step your game up, like level up. You should be doing that anyway. You should always be trying to improve anyway.
Leveling up. Yeah.
Lost and Found said credit isn't a great indicator in my opinion. And
Yes,
I agree.
That's a
If
different
the Lord were to tell me, hey, that's your husband,
but you got
that's my husband. Like,
you got a
got a
300?
180.
right. Well, we're gonna figure it out. I'm gonna tell you, figure it out, or else. Just kidding. No, but you know what I mean? Like, if God were to tell me that person is your husband or whatever, then that's who, like,
Yeah.
I'm not, you know.
I think the point we don't want to miss, like if the credit, like we could argue about that, but the Bible is clear that a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. Are you in a position to do that? Are you
Right.
working towards that? Right? Are you working
Right.
towards that? If you just don't care, you know what I mean? Bills is always late. Car's about to get repoed. You know, you're living on your mama's couch. You ain't got no savings. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And someone
maybe-
like,
You
oh,
got
go
some
ahead.
work to do, homie.
Or maybe you do live on a couch, but your mom's couch, but you do have a big savings. You
Right.
do are trying.
That's
you know,
what I'm
you are-
saying. That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, I don't want to minimize anybody living with their parents because I'm also against like kicking out your kids when they turn 18. Like, I think parents should help their kids to stack their bread so that when they leave, they could buy a house and they could take their wife to that house. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not moving in with me. You know what I mean? Like, you
Yeah.
should have a bag and you should have a house for your spouse because you don't want that mama that Brique had pull up on her. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to be living with her. Can you imagine? Like,
No.
Man, Jimmy Chills, go to the church.
Mm-mm.
you know what I mean? Like, you don't want that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You gotta bring something to the table. You know what I mean? It's got to be mutual beneficial.
That's basically what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
Like, if I can see all the ways that I benefit you and I can't find any way that you benefit me, and I know it shouldn't be like that transactional, but like we got to be realistic though.
I could
You
do
know?
bad by myself.
That's really how I'd be feeling. Like, how are you going to make my life better?
Right. You stressing me out. I don't want to be with you.
You know? Somebody said, Captain No Cap said, real relationship with the Lord, established career, and a good credit score.
That's Cap. I'm just kidding.
No Sabo Manga said, nah, son, some kids got to move out. I mean, if that's your stance on that.
Yeah, they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? Like, they're not handling the business, and I get that too. Yeah, I get that too. I respect it.
Yeah, I was in the line of thinking. I was like, oh, when I have kids, by the time they're 18, got to get out, go figure it out for life, figure life out. But then after I have kids, I was like, yo, I want them as long as possible here, you know, with a, you know, under the roof stuff.
Right.
But yeah, that's how it is. Yeah, okay, great conversation. I think we'll wrap it up. It's already an hour and 30.
He's ready for the word of the day
on this show. Unless you guys got something else, I'm with it as well.
Nah, I think that's
we covered it all.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So today's word of the day is brought to you by the Bible, and it is the book of Judges.
You really do.
Chapter 4, verse 21, and it says, "But Jael, Herbert's wife, picked up a tent peg and a hammer and went quietly to him while." Now listen to this. While he laid fast asleep, comma, exhausted, right? Exhausted. She drove the peg through his temple into the ground, and he died. That's the word, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. Go share this episode with a friend.
Right.
And everybody that has been on this live, go comment after this video is over. Leave any comment, whatever it is. Help us get this video out to more people. It helps us. Shout out to Captain O'Cap. Good talk, gang. Appreciate it. And yeah, we'll see you guys on the next episode of the That's Not Christian podcast.
Yeah.
Peace.
Yo, and don't be DMing Brike and Kasari after this conversation either, man. They picked this verse. Just so you know, they picked this verse. So that's what you in for.
But also, if you got good credit and all that stuff, and you know you up there, and you feel like you could provide value, shoot your shot.
LNF, shut up.
And you're willing to relocate to OC, because don't be on the other side of the planet talking about I want to be with you. No.
Right.
Oh my god.
6 feet of snow.
Yeah, I'm not going. Anyway. Right. To your little raggedy city, I'm not moving.
You dusty
anyway,
wow. And this episode ran out before.
Peace.
Bye. Dusty.
Money up.
What that Michael do though?